to come and to receive on board Cristina Santos, Executive Director, Member of the Board of Sonai Sierra, Miguel Santana, Board Member of Fidelidade Property, Pedro Coelho, CEO of Square Asset Management, and Alberto Henriques, partner from Deloitte. Okay. Okay, so we are the last challenge to the lunch. So I will try to stress a discussion of 25 minutes. 25 minutes, okay? I would like to begin asking and beginning by the ladies. What does the scale and the ambition of these projects reveal about Portugal's long-term vision for urban development? So what is your first comment when you see all these urban plans, almost a new city coming to Lisbon?
So thank you, first of all, for the invitation to be here. So we look to this and we see inevitable that is very needed, should be, is already late because we have to overcome several structures, situations, and I think this is the way to overcome them. So in terms of the plan itself, although only we know it high level, I think we all agree that makes all the sense. After the stabilization of the discussion around where is the new airport location, which took several years, now is the time to make things happen and to overcome all these challenges that we have as housing shortage and enlarge Lisbon metropolitan area in order to be capable to answer to the challenges and put Europe, put Lisbon near Europe, and I think that is very, very relevant.
Pedro, you are a fully Iberian investor. How do you see these projects coming? What it means, a new offer for your fund?
Well, I would say that, of course, it's a very big challenge, and I know that probably in the room, most of you, either probably very young or some of the older, because are foreigner, you don't remember about Expo 98, and so that was the investment start and the decision was made 30 years ago. Unfortunately, I'm too old to remember that, and so we know that I mean, there are a lot of constraints, as Cristina has mentioned. I would say first of one is the will, second is the licensing, and so the law to allow licensing to move forward, and of course, public investment, mainly in infrastructures and mobility. And that is the main, I would say, keys, because then after, if that moves forward, everything goes after with it. And so, I want to just mention that we are in a very different moment from the economic environment. A different moment because at that time, interest rates were at 15%. So probably people in the room don't know how to pay a mortgage, paying 15% rate for buying a house. So nowadays that people, and it's true that it's difficult to buy a house, at that time was not less difficult because the prices are lower, but the price that you pay for the mortgage is higher. But at that time, everything went with from demand, from either in housing, from residential for occupiers, and especially in offices. And so I think it's a very important will to move. On our side, as probably most of the people in the room know us, we follow the demand. So we are completely agnostic on locations. So as far as a good tenant with long-term lease wants to be in whatever point it is, we have a price for that.
You'll be there. Miguel Santana, having representing a big pocket, You are making city with intercampus, so I can imagine a lot of pressure, institutional pressure for Fidelidade to step in these projects. What is your profile of risk reward to evaluate to be jumping on
Well,
this project?
I will share two things. One is personal. This week I'm changing my decade, so from the 50s to the 60s. So I'm very happy when I see Antonio presenting this project and thinking, yes, I still have 10 years to go with it, so we have time for that. At Fidelidade Property Board, we changed our speech very recently and we start to talk about infrastructure. Not for now, precisely now, because we are very committed and very compromised with Intercampus and the dimension of that project. But I think what Antonio showed here to us in terms of project and infrastructures and the future real estate that we'll have in Lisbon, of course not the remaining country, it's what moves us to be on this type of events and that will assure that we will continue. So I'm a true believer on what Antonio present. I think it's the Lisbon expansion or the second city, the expansion, and we really need to go for it. So I think Fidelidade, we are with more than 220 years, I think we will dedicate some time and some effort to also to compromise with that project because, and I still have 10 years to dedicate it to it, okay?
Alberto Henriques, you are representing Deloitte from a consultancy and advisory perspective. What are the main challenges in planning and executing projects of this scale? What is the opportunity also on the advisory side?
So first of all, good afternoon. I think it's exciting times to be in advisory, exciting projects ahead, many decades, I would say, to really see the true potential. And our role as advisors is simple. We need to provide support with data to the decision making, be aware that the projects can meet present and future needs and wants, and provide rigor, transparency, and risk mitigation all throughout the process. All these projects will require multidisciplinary teams working on all frameworks, and with it providing the right data for the project to be monitored over time, and sometimes being able to have the agility to change some initial standpoints that are altered by the context. So we will be involved in many ways. The opportunities is unlocking the true potential of Lisbon, which is not only a city, it will be a police-centric metropolitan hub. And with it, we might be able to fill the available supply which the crowd is mentioning is one of the constraints for more transactions. Hopefully with it, we can consolidate Lisbon as a big area like we have in Canary Wharf and other destinations.
Cristina, as a new district emerges, how can Lisbon ensure that are not only modern but also inclusive, sustainable, green? I know all projects of Sonai Sierra are very deep with sustainable development. How can Sonai Sierra sell its expertise of developing green, sustainable communities?
Yeah, I would like to say that it's not only Sonai Sierra, there are several players. So I think that in a project of this dimension, of course, that public financial is crucial and will be the ones that are responsible for the big chunk of investment, but private investment is too an important piece, should be heard and will help too on those dimensions that you are talking about. All the for you to be sure that the dimensions are there, there'll be a planning on the climate risk, strategic, sustainability, all those dimensions that will have to accommodate the sufficient flexibility to change along the time. We are talking about projects in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, 10 years' time if everything goes well. So 15 years' time. Things are changing fast. And so it's not only the set of standards that you put now on the beginning, is the capability that you have to monitor the changes that have to be made. And I think private investors, if they can contribute to this plan in a very periodic way, they can bring those features, those things that we learn in our projects that could be applied here. So since
like
the beginning,
that should be stepping in on initial phase in the project.
Yeah, the projects have to have clear KPIs in several dimensions and metrics, and those KPIs should evolve along with the years and the significant changes that we are seeing in technology, in resources, in the way that people live the cities, in the new generations, in the values. So all that has to be part and has to be dynamic. Otherwise, we will end with new centralities that will not correspond to the needs of the new generations. So I think that capability to be integrated in this dimension of how the corporate governance of this project is critical. We talk about Expo. This is 55 times an Expo. So we are talking about a huge project. So I think that this should be think from the start, and of course integrating investors. We see there is a huge. If we can conclude from the what we've been seeing during this yesterday and today, is there is a huge appetite. Portugal is delivering. Investors want to bet in Portugal. So if we give them the proper ground for that, and here, what are the obstacles in terms of licensing, in terms of taxes, in terms of all the situations that we have to face along the period of time, we will bring execution capabilities to short this period in what the projects have to be done.
Pedro, you lead a lot of with international investors. You represent some of them. Do you see investors ready to look forward 3-5 years to prepare for this path, or you believe we as locals need to do the first job to begin to do the work?
Well, I would say that, of course, the first job should be from the public side, on the infrastructure and on the planning, on zoning, and on the speed of licensing to move forward. But this are a lot of ifs, of course. But if all of those KPIs occur, I would say, and again, giving the comparison with Expo, probably few in the room remember that, but the first company that signed the contract to move to Expo on the office side was the actual Vodafone. And it was a very strong movement at that time. And then, so they signed a promissory contract that they will buy, and then they went to an auction in the market to see what final investor will pay the higher price. And so, of course, again, times are different. We moved 30 years, and so there are much more investors in Portugal. So the globalization is very hard comparing to 92, 93. So I don't have any doubt that if all the things I have said before works on the public side, then we have the occupiers trying to take positions, and the investors will follow.
Miguel, institutional investors often see how infrastructure goes around. How critical is the investment of the two Tagus connection one by bridge, another by tunnel. I believe I'm right.
Yeah.
If not, António Ramalho, let me know how critical is to see this infrastructure of mobility come along with the market.
It's essential. At the beginning, we were just talking about the third transfer between Lisbon and the South Bank. Now, then Antonio mentioned the tunnel. Of course, it's critical because if we don't have those, I would say, mandatory infrastructures on site built, the investors and all the potential will never understand the project. So the tunnel, I don't understand because everything is done. It's just the tunnel itself. So get the metro machine to do tunnels and put them in the river doing the tunnel because you see the A5, the motorway, is always blocked. And of course, we are seeing a huge demand in the South Bank even now. So as soon as we have those two infrastructures, of course, the values will come and the investors will follow, as Pedro is saying. As soon as we see there is something that we can invest and we have a good return, of course we will have. And for Lisbon, it's the way to grow because for the other side, we are blocked.
Deloitte is master to doing KPIs. If you need to remember quickly 3-4 KPIs to look at this development of the projects, my question is, what are the critical factors that will mark the success of this project?
First of all, I think the key word here is trust. I would say alongside public's vision and ambition needs, there's basically no way that ambition and dream is met without the private being reassured that this could be delivered. I would say the main factors will include the main will be stability, predictability, transparency in all the process, and a clear governance structure. We have had, and many investors here know that in the past, I think we already gave some examples, but we've been speaking for airports for 4 years. and the way that we measure those KPIs, I would say is going to be how then private capital and can be, and all the stakeholders can be already part of the solution, integrated solution, so they move alongside the public sector on that.
I believe I can add one additional information, is that Parque Cidades do Tejo will be a public company in recent months, in next month, and the idea is to have a company with like Expo 98 that can manage all the project and infrastructure, if I'm not too wrong.
No comment.
Okay. So we saw the new airport, the use to the existing airport. We saw Almada in Margueiro, we saw Barreiro, Seixal, Ocean Camps. My question is, if you are invited to invest in one of these, and if you are invited to focus attention in one of the projects, which one would you pick up, Miguel?
Oh my God, that's very sensitive. I have a personal attachment to Almada because my father worked at Legionava for his whole life, so Legionava for me it touched me. But I think even for Lisbon, I would say it could be a good start from Legionava because
it's a ready project to go on.
Yeah, and it's very close. So it's something that everyone in Lisbon will see. It will grow, and then it can expand for Seixal, for Barreiro. I visit all those projects 5 years ago or something like that. So personally, and also due to the distance to Lisbon, I will focus on the Margueira, I think it's the name, the Margueira one, that it could signalize the real start of that South Spain project.
Just for information, Margueira Land is ready, have been already a few projects, and that this is the one that can go faster in time.
Yeah.
Cristina, preferred projects?
We already bet in Barreiro, as you know, Sonai Serra, its core activities on the shopping centers, and we already bet in Barreiro. So 2 years ago, we bought a shopping center which was under stress. We saw a huge opportunity because we see the city changing with a clear plan. So we've been doing the turnaround very successfully of the shopping center. We can see that there is a huge bet in residential on the municipality, and we see a very dynamic municipality in terms of creating sustainable and social infrastructures that are very important. Barreiro will, of course, it will be critical, the new crossing, but it's
Barreiro.
one of the cities where I see.
Almada, Barreiro, Pedro.
Seixal, Pedro, go.
Your preferred.
Well, you know, this is all very nice, but someone has to pay the bill. And the Minister of Finance is worried about the bills, I guess, especially about the long road that we have made over the last 15 years. And happily for us, we are in a better condition, but still, it's not, any of it is a cheap project. And of course, altogether is much more expensive. So my bet, of course, in our investment, we could move forward wherever is the one that moves first. But my bet is that the priority will be the airport plus the third bridge and the speed train. And then after, you have a kind of wave to decide. That is, in my view, the logical, or at least what I would do if I would be on that chair, which I don't want.
This is running well. We have Almada, we have Barreiro, we have airport, Alberto.
I have to agree with Pedro. It's exactly what I had in mind in my notes, because one will unlock the potential in the southern riverbank and the north riverbank, which is the airport, the new airport, will unlock those two developments, and the third crossing is essential to mitigate the constraints, existing constraints, and to be able to facilitate more services into the southern riverbank. And the high-speed rail is going to be a game changer. The housing problems will be mitigated because people will be able to live further away, shorter commutes, and all of this will improve I would say, all the flow of all the services that are driven by real estate.
I have a last point.
Antonio, just a disclaimer. Yes. When I said Bergueira, and probably Cristina also, assuming the base infrastructures like tunnel, bridge, and airport are done, of course.
Are done.
Before that, we don't step in.
I have only to stress out one thing, is that I'm born in Oporto, I live in Braga, and I'm seeing all this money come again to Lisbon. So I hope some investment can come to the north of Portugal. We also deserve. Okay, many thanks. It was a great pleasure, and I believe this panel deserves a very big applause to say goodbye.